everybody! According to the People's Institute for Gorging on Sausage, the humble breakfast sausage is the second most eaten sausage in the country, just behind the almighty hot dog. And it's easy to see why. These succulent stubby sticks are a super satisfying start to a stupendous day, and they're one of the easiest sausages to make at home. I'm making these beautiful breakfast links that everyone's gonna love. So let's get started. Breakfast sausage is typically, but not always, an all-pork sausage. Store-bought sausages usually range between 20 and 25% fat content, and as luck would have it, that's about the same fat content as good old pork shoulder. So that's what I'm using today. If your shoulder has a decent fat cap on it, you're good to go. But if your butcher's gotten a bit overzealous with the trim, you can add some bacon to the grind to boost that fat level, and that's going to add a nice little smoky flavor as well, which is going to be real nice. This one looks perfect to me, so let me get this all cut up, and then I'll pop it in the freezer to firm up while I get my spices together. Now let's take a look at the spices for our breakfast sausage. I'm making a 10-pound batch today because I don't get out of bed for less than 10 pounds of sausage. But this is a great sausage for whipping up a small batch for breakfast with some store-bought ground pork. Now, if you've got the time and you remember, I would suggest mixing it up the night before just to give the spices some time to work their way around in there and spread their love all over your meat. Now then, for my 10 pounds of meat, I'll be using 80 grams or about 4 tablespoons of plain salt. This is 7 grams or 1 tablespoon of ground white pepper. And of course, you could substitute black pepper here, but I do kind of like the floral funkiness that white pepper brings into the recipe. This is 5 grams or 1 tablespoon of ground sage. Now, if you're using rubbed sage, that's going to be a little bit fluffier and lighter, so 2 tablespoons is probably going to be closer to what you want to use, but it's still going to weigh 5 grams. Now this is 2 grams or 1 teaspoon of dried ginger powder, and I usually do use dried ginger powder in my sausage recipes when I need some ginger because fresh ginger does kind of nasty things to your meat. Now this is 3 grams or about 1 tablespoon of fresh ground nutmeg. Now, if you're using store-bought pre-ground nutmeg, that's going to be a lot more dense, so it's probably going to be around 2 teaspoons. But again, it's still going to weigh 3 grams. Now, a lot of recipes call for thyme, but I really prefer the flavor of rosemary with pork. So this is 3 grams of fresh, finely chopped rosemary, and that is right around 2 teaspoons. And I do like to bring at least a little bit of heat into almost all of my sausages, so this is 7 grams or 1 tablespoon of cayenne pepper. A lot of people like a little bit of sweetness in their breakfast sausage, so if you want to throw in a half cup to 1 cup of brown sugar or maple syrup, that's going to get the job done. But for today, I'm going to be sticking with the kind of original savory recipe. And I am going to be stuffing this into casings, so I'll need a little bit of liquid to help push that through the stuffer. So I've got 1 cup of ice cold water. And if you're not stuffing this into casings, you can go ahead and leave that out. And now let's grind up some meat and mix this one up. I like to do a 50-50 grind with the small plate and the medium plate to get some kind of varying textures going on in this sausage, but you grind yours however you like. And before I get started, I'll mix all my spices together so I can add them in as I go and get a little head start on the mixing. It'll also help make sure they get nice and evenly distributed.
Alright, I've got everything all ground up. My spices are in here, so all that's left to do is mix this up. And unlike a smoked sausage, I don't even have to mix the heck out of this one. I'm not looking for that really tight grain like I do with my smoked sausages. I want this one to have a bit of a looser grain, so I've only got to mix it long enough to get all the spices thoroughly and evenly mixed throughout here. So it's only going to take a few minutes. I'm not even going to bother to put on my cotton liners for this one. So let me get my water in there and we'll mix this up. And there you have it. If it's just a fresh ground sausage that you're looking for, you're done. Of course, like I said earlier, this will taste better tomorrow after those spices have had a chance to kind of work around in there and flavor everything nice and evenly. But if you do plan on setting this aside overnight, or you're going to stuff this into casings, now is the time to snatch off a little piece of that and go fry yourself up a small test patty to check that for flavor. And then you can come back and you can tweak that any way you like to make this exactly how you love your sausage. I'm going to set this one in the fridge for just a little bit while I set up my sausage stuffing station, and then we'll come back and stuff this sausage. I'm a guy that really loves the pop and snap that you get from a good natural casing. But to make sausages the size of the ones I want to make today, I'd need to use sheep casings, and for a batch this size, that would get pretty spendy. And like most people, I'm on a budget, so today I'm using these fresh collagen casings. Now, it's important to use fresh collagen casings here and not the processed collagen that I use for snack sticks and other smoked sausages. Those are going to be thicker casings that can hold up in the smoker. These are made to replace natural casings, but you cannot hang these in the smoker. They'll just fall apart and leave you with a big meat pile on the floor of your smoker. So these are 21 millimeter casings, so I'm using my 12 millimeter horn. And you always use a smaller horn than the casing because that's going to give you control of how much and how fast that sausage gets pumped into your casing, and it's going to help you avoid overstuffing that. And of course, you always want to have your corn pop handy to pop any air bubbles that might get in there. So now, let's lock and load and crank this one out. Unlike natural casings, these fresh collagen casings don't like to hold the shape of a link very well. They usually just come unraveled, and they're also kind of fragile for forming the links. But if you really do want to form the links, go ahead and pinch off your link in a couple of spots, and you want to make sure you haven't overstuffed that casing, and then just give it 2 spins, and that'll form your link. Move up to the next slot, pinch off the 2 spots, give that 2 spins,
in the opposite direction, and so on and so forth. And of course, you can just go through here and snip out links with some scissors if this is giving you trouble. Oh yeah, 10 pounds of beautiful breakfast sausage links, and as luck would have it, it's just about breakfast time, and I can't wait to try these out. Get a load of those little beauties. Oh yes! I am excited to try these out. Check out that bite. Oh yeah. That is a phenomenal breakfast sausage. Those casings cook up really nicely, and they do have a little snap to them. The salt and the spices are just right, and that little pop of fresh rosemary just kind of brightens that flavor up a bit. It's very good. It's got that classic breakfast sausage flavor, but it is definitely on a different level than anything you're gonna find in your grocery store. The texture of these is something special too. They're really nice and soft, and they're tender because I used whole cuts of meat here. And there's really no telling which odds and ends they throw into the big factory grinders. If you're a sausage maker, or you've seen some of my other videos, you probably noticed that these fresh sausages don't have any cure in them. So you're gonna wanna eat or freeze these within about a week. But once you try these, they're probably not gonna be around for that long anyway. That is a beautiful sausage. It's gonna keep you up all night thinking about breakfast. So, if you're looking for a really great breakfast sausage that's gonna motivate you to get out of bed and get your day off to a great start, give this a try, and I know you're gonna love it. Thanks for watching. Happy birthday, Claire!